Suki Tonamla, Chanchu Paru Dagni Kapsuchi, Dagi Shunyan Gite Sonamgi, Yola Penche Sange Drupar Shos. Shunyan Suki Tonamla, Chanchu Paru Dagni Kapsuchi, Dagi Shunyan Gite Sonamgi, Yola Penche Sange Drupar Shos. Shunyan Suki Tonamla, Chanchu Paru Dagni Kapsuchi, Dagi Shunyan Gite Sonamgi, Yola Penche Sange Drupar Shos.
Hello, good morning everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to the kids' parents. Some parents. Also, if you not comfortable sit there, you can sit on the chair. Whatever you comfortable, please sit. Also, it's too cold, you cannot turn off the heat, okay? Anyway, I really have to meet my dear brothers, sisters. Usually we call brother, sister means, just some parents, right? We call brother, sister. We are all same human being. And our same. Everybody loves to success. Anybody doesn't like, any problems, right? Everybody has the same view. And we can call, all brothers, sisters. They are not contradictions. Then, anyway, actually we talk about, today we are planning, talk is, Buddhism, about Buddhism. What's Buddhism? What's point we study Buddhism? What Buddhism said? Who's Buddha? Where he now? Something we say. Anyway, actually Buddhism is Buddha, the person who born in India 2,500 years. And we believe he born same as us. Their parents, when he married, was a big kingdom. And during that time, he saw a lot of problems. Getting sick, getting old. Anyway, he saw many different problems always. And he think it's possible to be free from the problems or sufferings. Then he decided to leave all his family, his wife, his big kingdom, and he go to retreat in meditation 6 years. Then he found, we call enlightenment, full happiness, not suffering. And he free from all the sufferings. After then he teach for us. This is my experience. I go through all the things. Then if you're interested, you can study. follow me. If you don't interest, it doesn't matter. But reality exactly, or the nature of phenomena or things that he teach. He teaching three different terms. This can't he teach, then who practice that can't teaching, then we call Buddhism. No, it's just basically, just roughly. Roughly. Anyway, the point is we study Buddhism. Why? Actually, even we can check small insects. Maybe animals, bigger animals, maybe right now, elephant, I don't know. Maybe big fishes, I don't know.
Whales.
Yeah, other whales, I don't know. And smalls, I don't know, maybe the insects, small ants. You can check. Some animals run on the night time. Some, animals run to daytime. And we are humans, run all the daytime, right? So why? Everybody running, why? Everybody to worry, they get softened, they get problem. They say they doesn't have enough food. They have to feed all the families, the animals also, they have to feed their kids. Anyway, all day, 24 hours, all of the world, the beings running. They wish something happiness. They try to bring connect with material.
In order to not meet with any sufferings or problems.
Right? Is it right? You guys go morning to evening, every morning, just little breakfast, driving, walk, you go to walk. This point is to some happiness, right? You don't need to, lose your job, you don't need to, you need to pay bills, you need to, everything's perfect, then you don't get big problems. Anybody running, the point is you wish to happy, everything is successes, all the families, all the kids, parents maybe, some parents, they're small kids. 24 hours they have to spend with the kids. They wish to the kids happy, right? Therefore, but we have always problem, right? Something always wrong, something doesn't work very well, always, Even usually we check it, just people go to run, walk, running. We don't see them, we cannot read their minds, but anybody has, some have a big problem, some small problem, something. We have always something unwanted things happen, right? Usually the suffering is very important. People identify what's suffering. Suffering is, unwanted. So unwanted. The big, small, right now, very cold. This is suffering. If we can turn off the heart, it's also suffering. Because we don't want heart, right? Therefore, suffering being small, big, go above a lot of big things, we don't want to hurt each other, that we hurt each other. We don't want to lose our, relatives, partners, that we lose it. We don't want to lose job, we lose job. We don't want to war, all the war. Not to war. But this always happen, right? No one control. Then how can we control? How do we stop that things? We call this, all the problems come from
Comes from the self-grasping ignorance.
Right.
So the self-grasping ignorance is always thinking about oneself.
And
then based on that, then you say, my family, my children, my relatives, and so forth. So in one way, it's okay to think in that way. It's not a problem to think like that. But the thought, thinking about I all the time, is not a good thought. It's a mistaken thought. So the reason why it's not good is because of that grasping at the self or I. And then there comes all these other delusions from that. Because of grasping at the I, then you become angry, you become jealous, you become arrogant, and so forth. So because of this grasping at the self or I, and then you get all these delusions. So whenever you get these delusions, the attachment, anger, and so forth, you become unhappy, and others become unhappy as well. And so all these sufferings that we don't want and the happinesses we want all come from causes and conditions. And so the cause of unwanted suffering is the negative action, which is created through the delusions, motivated by delusions. Then you create a non-virtuous action, and that delusion is based on that self-grasping ignorance. So from that, you create all these non-virtuous actions. As a result, you experience suffering. So the sufferings that we experience now, the causes for those sufferings are not only created in this life, but have created so many in the previous lives. So there's no beginning to our life. But the life is beginningless. So we cannot say when it started. So from beginningless lifetime, we have had this self-grasping ignorance and all the delusions that come from that. And so based on those delusions and the root of the delusion, the ignorance, we have created so many non-virtuous actions throughout all these lifetimes. And so these results of these non-virtuous actions are experienced either in this life or in the future lives. So we make many mistakes. So the why we make mistakes is because of not knowing, right? Not because of ignorance. So because of making mistakes out of not knowing, out of ignorance, then you go through all these problems. So for example, if you get angry, you become unhappy yourself and you make your friends around you unhappy as well. So that you all have experienced, right? And the same with the other kinds of delusions like jealousy. So if you are jealous, then you become unhappy, and also same, making others unhappy. And then if it's attachment, then you have problem of not achieving what you want. So like that, there are many different kinds of non-virtuous actions. So anyway, in short, whatever action you do which brings suffering, is non-virtuous action. So since we are all grown-ups, we should know what action will bring suffering and what action will bring happiness. So in the same way, the happiness comes from cause and condition as well. So the cause of happiness is a good heart, compassion, loving kindness, and so forth. So in general in the world, if the person is very helpful to others, is very kind to others, then we all call that person a very good person, right? So if someone creates all these problems and sufferings for so many people in the world, then everybody says that he's a bad person, right? So we don't have to live with the whole world all the time, but we do have to live with our families, friends, right? And so if you get angry, then you usually get angry towards your family, your friends, or your relatives, or someone who's around you.
Usually husbands angry wives angry husbands, no others, because they're very close. Therefore, he or she will close for you. He or she is very kind for us. They help to us.
So usually they help us, right? They're very kind to us, they help us. Because if you don't have somebody, you will not be able to live by yourself alone. So in the same way, like if we want to have a job, we need somebody to give us a job, right? If there's nobody to give us a job, then we don't have a job. So if you don't have somebody to work with you, your co-workers, to do the work with you, or somebody to give you the job, then you won't be able to do it, right? So if you don't have a partner, then to share all these things, the goods and bads and things that happen to you, then there's nobody to complain about your things, right?
They're very kind for us. Also, in Buddhism experience, who is your enemy? It's your best teacher to patient. He's a patient. He's a patient, very good. But who can be patient? Usually, you're very close friend. Never shows angry. It doesn't give you, practice to patient. He gives always to do good. This kind of person, he or she give you teach to patient. 나도 접어서야 되게 소소라 짓가래. 그게 정이 들어야 봐. 돈에 맞춰야 된다. 그때 맞아야 된다. 접어서.
So the practice of patience is like when somebody gives you a trouble, gives you a hard time, and you don't retaliate to that problem or soften, then you are practicing patience.
But if someone to attack, someone to attack, don't patient, attack you, don't patient, that's wrong way. With that time, oh, I'm patient, you just said it. No problem. During that time, also you have to do patient, very smart patient, not ignorant patient. Even maybe big dog coming, they want to bite you. He said, oh, I'm patient. He said, yeah, dog bite you. You have to do something. You have to run there. Anyway, the patient is very good. Usually, patience, Even right now, you can see all the world. Husband, wife, working, government, always they divorce problems. This shows not enough patience. Of course, the difficult situation, not same as the teenagers before they meet during the daytime. Their family, they long time together, they do many lot of things. Not same always perfect. Sometimes up, sometimes down. Sometimes little difficult situation, then they see each other angry. Then they say, okay, no more. Then after that, a little bit. But this is a, shows for everybody, not just you guys, all the world. People have not enough to patience. The patience is very important, also very important to smart patients. And try to best to not harm others. Not harm others means not harm others' mind. How you harm others' mind? Many actions. You can say some bad words. You can show bad actions. You can write very terrible emails. But they hurt others. Hurt is that. No, you don't need to kill. You need to bring them big gun. No need to shoot them. Kill. Harm is, not harm the mind. How you harm mind? You say some words. You show, bad actions. You can write some bad things. Try to, less. We cannot stop all this, We have to sometimes say things very bad, but try to, less. Try to more calm down. Then they shows you more calm down person. Others, we always angry, strong jealous, then always, never happy. Even you're very angry, you never sleep. Then you turn around, you check that, come out. Maybe that night was more longer. Therefore, try to don't follow the negative minds, non-virtuous minds. Try to, patient. Think about sometimes difficult situation, show angry. How we stop doing that time, try to, this is kind person very kind. Don't look at that, fault things. Look for the, the positive things. This kind of person has good qualities, When we, stop it.
So when we are under the control of the delusions, then we will not be able to stop. So at that time, instead of looking at the faults of the person, if you look at his qualities, the good qualities, then that might help a bit. So in Buddhism it says that if we want to have happiness, then we have to create it by ourselves. And so generally there are many different teachers, including Buddha and many other teachers, who have taught in many different ways, to help us to achieve happiness.
이제 강화 제자가 터진데 수수 냠내 맞으나 안에 달려가 지금 말단 좀 말았어.
So all these different means of the teachings that were taught by these different teachers, if we don't practice them, then we will not be able to achieve the happiness. So just like when someone goes to a school, no matter how good the teacher is at that school, if the student doesn't study, then he will never learn, right?
Right? Same as me. I go to study English many different ways. I'm very lazy student. And my English is always the same level because I didn't study. When I go to school, I check that they, work on.
Friends, classmates.
Classmates check their homework. When I come back, I just put that, then tomorrow I go and pick out again. I finish it, show me. I should study. If they're teachers, people come to here, they're taught to be teachers. I go to school, but I don't know. I want to study that, but something doesn't work. My real effort doesn't go there, Then also, my other tutor, sometimes, sometimes we doesn't meet once only month. Usually we have to meet every week. Sometimes, she doesn't have time. Sometimes I don't have time. Sometimes I'm a little lazy. I say, oh, today I'm not I'm sick. Therefore, if our sub doesn't do our effort, if it doesn't work, I will push many things. It is a time I'm Suzu Devadana, Suzu same thing, no more want to
So therefore, if we want to have happiness for ourselves, then we should control our mind, make sure it doesn't fall under the control of the delusions, and always engage in positive actions. And then on the other hand, try to develop the positive minds like compassion, loving kindness as much as possible.
And then sometimes I'm not just some
So sometimes we, out of not knowing how to do the things in the right way or think in the right way, we give so much problems to ourselves. So do you accept or believe that you yourself give hard time to yourself? And so also faced with some kind of minor problem, if you keep thinking, why am I experiencing this, and why do I have to experience it? Nobody's experiencing, why do I have to experience it? If you keep on harboring your thought around that problem, then the problem seems to grow bigger and bigger, right?
And then the Rikangi Chuji in the Chitan, Chimigango Chuji Shoris, Chikina Yo, not Churis. But you tell a tire, Kangi that you tire Tashiro Che, Shira, no, Shira.
So instead, if you think, oh, this is nothing, it's something that's that happens to so many people, it's not only me. So I'm sure there are some means in which I can follow to overcome this. If you think like that, then the problem, even as big, will not appear as big.
For example, I walk in the car, my beautiful car, that auspicious car, very nice. We don't know find in the United States. It's broken, I think, oh, I have a very beautiful car. Hold me, what can I do now? And worry. But if I worry, maybe my cars come back. No, right? It's really broken. I worry, useless. Just I'm worried. What can I do? Very beautiful cars, I remember. But then I'm more unhappy because I see the positive things, nice things, thinking of car. Then I'm more touched. I'm more, softened. Then I'm unhappy. If I think that the car doesn't come back, right? Then I say, oh yeah, it's okay, nice car, it's broken, it's always happen. I don't care. Then I'm not, that kind of soften. We call it Shantideva. He said, if it is fixed, nothing need to worry. If it is not fixed,
If it cannot be fixed,
you cannot fix, why you worry?
no point worrying.
No point worry, right? Now, this is a very good, that kind of practice, not necessarily to Buddhism, not need to check to, what's that, check refuge for Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, we can, what's that? Oh, that's 사람 대화다. 사람 상담하는 거. 같이 남배의 유능한 수준이 냠내 소수 세비 냠내 지하라. 나 나바이 보고 말했죠. 수준 계속 가와려야 돼.
So the Buddhism, the Buddha's teaching is like a means to change your mind, to achieve happiness, to overcome the problems and so forth. So it doesn't have to be a Buddhist person in order to practice that. So if it is a good advice, then anybody can take it. So you can take advice from anywhere if it is beneficial for you.
All right. Well, my cup's very broken. Oh yeah, the clock. Okay, now let's try to go to that taxi and ask him how you clear the, without too much effort, how you clear the, and how you clear the merit, virtue, merit, okay?
So out of the 6 category rights, we're on the 4th one now, right? The 4th limb, which is the rejoicing.
Page number?
190.
If you are doing, if you love, see, follow the book, you can follow. If you don't, just hit that, doesn't matter. Whatever you love. So if
we engage in the practice of the 6 preparatory rights, then we accumulate virtue. If we accumulate virtue, then we will experience happiness as a result. Happiness is something that we all want. So we all want. So the first one, preparatory right, is making prostrations, right? Sorry, it's not the 6 preparatory rights, but the 7 limbs, right? The 7 limbs.
I said no, please say. Are you controlling your mind? Sometimes I talk here, I watch you guys, but my mind go to some other countries. But today the Tata war, chant of chopping,
So the 7 limb practice is 7 limb. So the first one is making prostration, the second is making offering, the third one is confessing non-virtuous actions, so negative actions, right? Which we did a lot last time. So last time we discussed about how to confess or purify the negative actions that we have created, right? Because we have created so much negative actions in the past. And then the 4th one, the 4th limb is the limb of rejoicing. So now we go through the text as it is explained here. It says here, rejoicing is a bodhisattva's practice, so it is difficult for us to do it even a little in our thoughts. So the bodhisattva is a person who has generated a mind and wanting to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings.
나나 대화용 치다 더다다는 거지. 근데 이마다 다 내가 레포 로션와 있나? 다 속사와 다 내려와요. 말해서 오셔요. 야구 성분이 다 들어있나?
And so if you can really think of this practice, rejoicing, then there's nothing that is easier than this.
단 내가 조심히 와서 나를 공부 대회 아니 여러 시간에 저거 사제가 산지에다 인투다라 년그 딱 리드 셰페 근데 다 아니 공부 대화서 해야 되게 다 지세하지 다 손은 다 걸어가도 그래서
So then there's a story that's told here. One sutra, the bag, one sutra, Sutatra, the beggar rejoiced in the donations King Sananjit made to the Buddha and his Sravakas. The beggar received more benefit than the king.
나한테 간이래 땅에 들어오셔서 가와야 나 니말에 jes다 자가래 자가 자고 사제하세요 말이야. 공호 사제도 샤수삼도 대바치무시라 이거 니마치 다 상대 꼬다지가 주 냄대시니 다 이거 샤라페 말이야.
So anyway, once there's this king called King Sananjit, who had strong faith or devotion towards Buddha. So one day he invited the Buddha and his retinues, all his disciples, for a meal at his place.
아니 뒤가봐야 다뭐 대회에서 해야 다 그 아주 말이야. 그 뭐라야. 다또 나는 게 말이야.
So this beggar called Sivata, is the beggar who was sitting on the side of the steps of the road, begging for food.
아니 그것은 다들이 잡아들였다. 싫어 잡아쳐서 다 너네 전에 손 빠르면 봐 싸서 나그 제대로 잡아 그래서.
And so when he saw this king offering meal to the Buddha and his disciples, he rejoiced over the king's virtue, the merit. He said, "Oh, this is so good that he's doing that." So he rejoiced in that way by thinking it's so good.
아니 야복이 따뜻해서 지금 그래. 또 나 지금 제가 다 마트리 쉬운도 인도 두번째 예산 말고 맞아로 했지와 그래서.
And so whereas the king who was making this offering, has some kind of pride, thinking that he did a very big thing. He did a big thing, like making offering of food to the Buddha and all his disciples.
어떻게 다 주마 산제라 다 수수는 책을 다 수는 하거나 아니 다 아주디 다 수는 차 사성가 같이 주어야 되죠.
So later when someone asked Buddha, who created more merit, and then Buddha said the most merit was created by the beggar.
다 가제.
Rejoicing.
야부 로소시 다 해야 사업체 배그 로스타마 배그 다 지세야 지. 조지다 그거 토소한 그랬어.
So why is it, the king worked so hard, right? He spent so much money, organized all these things, and yet he didn't create more merit, but the beggar created more than him.
대부가 그런데 다 맞아가 지금 무슨 거
So the reason why the king didn't create more merit, is because his thoughts were tainted by the delusion, pride.
근데 어떻게 해야 다 지세야 사이다. 야보시라고 나도 같이 가디 봐야 지금. 다 미게 야보치는 다들 지세야 지고 그래서.
So rejoicing is very good. So whenever we see someone doing good, we should always rejoice.
아니 니버도 다 나도 zon가베야 외파 추노 라체 소데라 게라 지세야 초도 나서 왔다. 칼에 추주여 맞지. 소라버지 상에 다 지세야 제다 다 말해서 가려 명예 소양 라버지 상에.
And also Lam Tsongkhapa said here, to give a great impetus to your accumulation from the nearest effort, they say best to rejoice over virtue. So you don't have to work hard yet, you create a lot of merit. So that practice is the virtue. And so the rejoicing.
시수받아니 이마가 아니 그쪽 먹어봐. 다만을 대전다. 다 초과면서 말이야. 너도 내 만년 상태가 좀
So it says, in other words, there is no need to wear out your body and voice, for you can collect immeasurable stock of merit by rejoicing while at ease. So you can rejoice while you're lying down and pray merit.
You have to study meditation or practice, then you have students. Also, you have to show your effort. But joy, just you can let on. You can enjoy all of the world. How many people do good things, worship things. Oh, really, that 지나가시나? 그거 도별이고. 네. 어떻게면 아니 이게 자보사자가 다 사지 좀 되더라야. 땅에 자스도도 딱 도면 되더라. 자보 선거도 생각 안 추가체에서 올라와 그래서.
So then again, it says 10% the ones asked the Buddha for teaching on some dharma that would be convenient for him, perhaps while he pursued his royal duties.
다 지배하지. 상주교도 생겨고 뭐가 지었는데 다 자주를 해서 왔는 거.
And then the Buddha said to practice rejoice, to develop bodhicitta, and dedicate his virtue. So these are the three best practices.
내 제발라. 다 가리 싫어하고 좋았어. 싸움에 올다나?
So to rejoice, you don't have to work hard if you just know how to think the right way, right?
근데 지세라도 다 같이 지금 소소 없어는 거죠. 미몸보거나 미몸보지 깔래자는 아주 주소대로 루타데. 이거는 찾으려 제일 딱 그런 거 야고시나 치죠. 딱 내가 대바도 저거라 배도가 영화 쇼고 좀 지금 뭐는 저거 잡지나 치와나 다 교화수도 토글.
So just like here in our center, so many people work hard so much to bring up, to maintain, to continue to have the center and so forth. So if we say, all these people who work so hard to do these works, they are really good. It's really good that they are doing this, and through this, may there be a lot of happiness in sentient beings, and may the teachings of the Buddha increase all the time and so forth. So if you think like that, then just by thinking that without doing anything, you create a lot of virtues actions. So without any sense of jealousy and so forth, so you should rejoice. So we might become jealous when somebody does better than us, right? And so instead of being jealous, and you could say, oh, that's very good that that person is doing good and so forth. So if you rejoice over these actions, benefits and so forth, then it becomes a virtuous action for ourselves. So if we have jealousy, then of course that creates problems in the community, in the country, or even in the whole world, nationally, internationally. There will be problems if you're jealous with each other. So even if other person is doing good, you say, oh, he's just pretending to do that, and he doesn't really know how to do it. He doesn't know anything, and so forth. So if you think like that, then you're creating non-virtuous action. So it says that even though he might not know so much or not everything, but he's doing as best as he can, so it's really good. If you think like that, then that becomes rejoicing.
What is it?
And so, again, here it gives the example of a monk, ordinary monks, but we can think of the members here also, right, at the center, who comes to make offerings at the center, in the hall here, bodily offerings, other offerings. If they make offerings, and then others see them doing that offering, and you can rejoice. You say, oh, that's very good that he or she is making offerings.
같이 행해 그 뒤에 손으로 했다. 딱 나로 손으로 그랬어. 때문에 봐야는 손으로 집어도 그랬어. 봐도 때 도와야나 아니 제가 또 그랬어.
So it says here, if you know, the amount of benefit, the amount of the merit you accumulate, when you rejoice over other person's virtue. So it depends on the other person who is creating the virtue, right? If the person who is creating the virtue is lower than yourself in terms of realization, then you rejoice over his or her merit, then you accumulate twice more than that person. So if the person is of the same level as yourself, and you accumulate equal amount of merit. And if the person is higher than yourself, then you create half of that person's virtue.
어떻게 이보다 가르나 때 도도 매서야 되는 것도 수부 체장다 남바야 수도 지식이 그냥 말해서
And so the level, what level you are or whatever the person is, not in terms of the physical size or the appearance, the beautiful and beautiness and so forth.
파워, 나들 간 파워. 아니 메디게라 샹바다 이제 샹저선 냐면 가서 토하이나 토하다 따때 토했어. 아니 사람 얘들아 따때 봐. 어디가 되나 그러더라.
So higher level in terms of the practice. So the person who has more compassion or bodhicitta or the understanding or the realization of emptiness and so forth. So whoever has more than you is higher than you. And whoever has less than you is lower than you.
그래서 가지 나도 또 배우기 유대시라고 그러더라.
So it is in terms of the internal realizations.
Even maybe you guys think, oh, Geshe is his mark, his Geshe, he's higher than me. Not possible. You know?
Not necessary.
Not necessary. You know? If Buddha said, we doesn't know where's Buddha, where's Bodhisattva. We cannot point, oh, maybe you're Buddha. Maybe you have very strong compassion. Or maybe she has very, very strong bodhicitta. We cannot judge. You know? Whatever you have, you know us. Anybody not it? One can put something on. Just we keep checking out. One can put me. People doesn't read your mind. We know our mind, right? Then anyway, that to me said, to low down, that down. That is that.
And so whether the person has a higher realization than you or not doesn't depend on what kind of person, doesn't depend on the appearance of the person just because he or she is wearing robes or monk or nun, doesn't mean that you have a higher realization than you. So it all depends on the internal realization.
What it is, that's full of tomato juice,
And so therefore, because it's an internal realization which is hidden to others, except to yourself, and you cannot tell who has realization, who has such and such realization. You cannot point and say, oh, this person is this person is that, and so forth.
제가 먹어야 돼. 다 미치고 술도 쇠는 지금 대화로 지 야보지나. 다저 야보시래 선바이나. 다 개와도 도보에서 또 받는 데 도보에서.
So since you don't know, you should just rejoice in whatever virtuous actions they are creating. So depending on what level they are in terms of and what level they are in relation to you, then that kind of that's the amount of the merit that they will accumulate.
그래서 다 들려 사람들은 가서 저로서 따고 깔았다고 딱 계속 쉬고 들어왔어.
And so if we can accumulate merit just by rejoicing in that way, then it has a great benefit, right? We don't have to work we don't have to work hard physically or verbally, and also we don't have to spend any money without doing all these things. We yet can create so much merit. So it's a great benefit, right?
지세한테 아니 용어가 저도 있는 거예요. 저도.
So the practice of rejoicing is also an antidote to the delusion, jealousy.
저도 나도 쓰질래야 캐는 말이야. 그때는 그치. 신발 찍지 나서 제대로 봐.
So the jealousy is always like thinking that that person doesn't know anything, or that we cannot stand to see that that person is doing better than you, and so forth. So that kind of thing.
물 봐줘야 될 지금 야부치는 나도 지금 나 미치고 없고요. 야 근데 옆에서 but he do that now. 그래서 저도 같이 그 야부 놔두고 말이죠.
So even if someone were to praise about that person, because of jealousy, say, yeah, but then he do this and that bad things and so forth. So you always try to bring faults in that person.
나도 차도 되다. 차도 가지고 옆으로 남아도 차도 올라왔어.
So not being able to accept that other person is good is because of jealousy, right?
그래서 가지고 강 개와 시와 됐다. 옆으로 서면은 차도 다 내가 차서 와.
And so if you think that whatever other person is doing, whatever good thing other person is doing is very good, then your jealousy will be right there.
어떻게 다 사지도 찾아서마다 나도 또한 더 알고 왔어. 지나 고주 강 개와 시와 되라. 나도 지나지나. 그게 시간 나도 더 가려.
So the bodhisattvas. So let's say we are just ordinary beings and we're not bodhisattvas. So if we rejoice in the virtues of the bodhisattvas, then we accumulate half of their merits, half of the merit that they accumulate.
그러다 그러니까 깔리 잡고 딱 가서 무시해 주고.
So there is a benefit of hard living, to work hard. Right?
근데 나 상지 샤선 소 나만은 이제 대화라 여러 시는 이제 속 통면 그 왕의 배 저든 더 상지에 계속 따져. 알아를 무슨 쇼교와 배정. 샤서 사토로 인지게 돼 쳐다보는 거야. 어떻게 되다? 다 상지에다 봐요. 아니 가서 만수는 몇지 찌래 개와한테 들어와야 샤서 사토 모르게 이만 지금 개와치고 나도 또 말해서 휴지를 놓으시나? 다 강아지가 돼. 아주 지나시잖아. 상지 사토 모르고 강아지를 쳐야 또 말해서 제가
치라도 주차를.
제가 모르고 제가
주라도 말고
최선도
주점 통서. 주차지 통서.
주차지 가슴 도잖아. 최선 아니 주차도 되나.
주차지.
디골라가서 새로운 배지 하면서 사동 이쪽에 제 차동을 이랑이 이 시장 도도는 생기. 생기 커뮤니티가 솔로워 집들이 그게 수치고 있어.
So it says here again, and if we rejoice in the deeds of these past Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and so on, will receive a tenth of the benefit they gain because their mind streams are so much higher than ours. If we level at virtuous practice for the whole of our human lifespan, we will only achieve a fraction of the root virtue performed in a single day by the Bodhisattvas on the first level, while the root virtue of a Buddha will be quite beyond us. So, but if we rejoice over the root virtue of these Bodhisattvas, we will get half as many as they have.
Right? We do all the life and not Bodhisattva. First believing just one day, not enough. We have to do. If we rejoice, you got half. It's very good. We got what we call what's it? Not hard to walk. We car that what's it? Buy that. What's it? Truck. So that is what Scotch ticket. Big Scotch ticket, right? They buy Scotch and buy something, they get a lot of money. We always walk, every week, 8 hours every day. We don't get, even that 70 years. I didn't find any more than 5,000 cash. I never saw this country. I walk every day. We don't want that. They Scotch tickets something they get really, big money. Then they wish that they spend a lot of money. They are all the small stores, they are very good business, they Scotch ticket. Those people go there, they wish they had something. But this is all very good, big Scotch. Scotch, just with joy. We, get how Bodhisattva was beings. How what he did, big millionaire for us. Just did it young with us something was
So that can happen in just in a way of simple way of thinking, just through the simple way of thinking, right?
얘는 아무도 사제도 샤조 선바 들어가도 저도 개요 말씀 제일 좋아서 저도 제주도 소소 가디년도 로데 십대 통다 소리서
And also, we don't have jealousy towards Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, right?
Too high.
Jealousy is towards only those people who we usually company with,
We have
associate with.
with us, without too high, we don't just again be jealous for our community people. Therefore, we have to joy for our community people doing some good things. Then we joy for them, not that Taduma kitchen was.
So it's important to not have that jealousy.
다 내가 다 미쇼다 아니 자때 답이 또지 샤죠 고가 니까 공부 그녀서 제가 마음에 대단하게 하시는 그들 좀 사고를 해서 아니 다다 주소하고 그런 나사에 다 미쇼가 되거든요.
So this one mental technique is the most effective way to build a huge collection of merit. This Dharma is flourishing here in the central province, and many people make prostrations and offerings, circumambulations, serve teachers, practice meditation, study, and so on. If we just over all these, we will receive a huge amount of reproach. So this is talking about all the practice people do around in the Lhasa area, it's the central province.
이나다 나도 대라야 차핑이 요래 꼬라칭이 요래 년거칭이 요래 몸도 몸도 요래 와서 제가
So there are so many people who are doing these different practices of making prostration offerings and so forth. And same here in our center, there are also many people who come and do meditations, make offerings, water bowls, lamps, and ceremonies, the stoop outside, and so forth. So all these virtuous actions that they accumulate, we can rejoice over that, and you will accumulate merit according to the level.
왔지 되다 드라미 셔서라 다지 좀 사진한지 뭐 두째서 다시 다시는 뒤 가봐야 아니 사진도 상처서 남자들도 봐다 손거에서 해들어
So, traditionally, at this time, the biographies or the stories, life stories of the Buddhas, the great masters, the great meditators, and so forth, were told in order for people to rejoice over their actions.
그래서 나머지 다 나도 가오라 지금 가는 아이스트리 한번 로를 왔어.
So you all like to read stories, right? Listen to stories, read stories.
아니 평소 지금까지 다 나도 남자 담발로 다들 매지 person comes at 그래서 하나 사다 버리지. 나도 지선하게 용도 왔어. 뭐야?
So, but most of the time, do you rejoice? You said, "Oh, that's amazing! That person, such and such person came." You just think like that, right? Is that a rejoicing?
다 간제마지 다 때문에 쌈지 맞았는데 종도 왔어. 다 소소들이 종아. 문음지 않들이 제고 들어와.
So, just not just thinking that, oh, such and such amazing person came or did something, but also pray for yourself to be like that person, to be able to do that kind of actions, that kind of positive actions.
그게 때문에 나한테 대주 진지 지주 대신 하면서 그러더라. 그냥 다 나마도 생겨져야 야포치나. 대단한데 소리 대단히 제어더라.
So, listening to these stories or reading these stories should inspire you to become like that, to do like that. So that's what they're saying. There's the stories of the previous teacher and the practice of the later disciples.
일단 나도 지금 요즘 뭐요 놓고 어디들 중화자들 거다 사잖아. 거기다 놓아야 제가 비행기 가지고 봤어.
So if we read all these different stories, then you will say, oh yeah, such and such happened, such and such happened, and just live there, then that doesn't benefit us much, right?
Same scientists, right? Scientists, they study. And they have to that kind of 힘이 되어다가 나 연애도 안 하고 신신으로서 나가 연애도 괜찮아요. 뭐를 제야 돼? 그건 쉬워야 돼. 연애 제고 말이죠.
Scientists here. So scientists, they do know, but they don't practice. So our thing is that it's not just enough to know; we have to put into practice as well.
어디다 백해를 짓는 남당하니 조금 가도 요가지고 어다 소소치 샤루 파트네 정해 줄지 아직 내가 나 진짜 와들이 다 지생하지 않게 좀 해서
So this is yes. At this point, the gurus who we treat this subject in the following order, rejoicing over such this as when the Buddha developed in Bodhicitta for the first time, then rejoicing over the deeds of past scholars and adepts in India and Tibet, and rejoicing over even your movements and recitations. And however, there are two ways to meditate on this thing.
Roommates study that is what go I want to see them. Sometimes in a monastery, we have to sleep one room, maybe 5-6 months. We don't have place, we put all the beds here. And some monks want to study, the other day was mad. I want to sleep. But they turn on the light. When there's someone turn on the light, we have to sleep. Very difficult. We can't sleep. We can complain them, I have to sleep. You think about me. I think, because they don't have, also you have to think about also more important, but you have to community, you have to share with them. Very important, but some have to study, more times I want to sleep. Very difficult situation. Yeah. I think Annie, she said she get up 3:30. Usually the nuns get up 5:30. She get up 3:30, she go outside. She do her practice. Because inside the nuns sleep. You don't want to disturb them, right? Then she said, she go to outside. Usually the outside, maybe work on porch. No one there, then she keeps sleep there. Some monks do that. Some monks, they don't care, even they sleep. The Rama is very bad, First we try to learn passion, but he doesn't stop. He always run, then temperature very hard. Also, we put the blanket over there, temperature very hard. Then I said, can you think about that? Yeah, that kind of always happen. But usually, when they do the effort to do it, we have to joy that we just follow the ignorant disciple.
Right.
He study, but we don't think this, he doesn't think us. Usually in real practice, then we have to joy. Right? There is a thought, Jesus is a thought. 다 지나 다 공부 그랬나 다 하는 게 와다 신지가 와라 지나 뭐 말하는 얘기 했어.
And so these the two kind of subdivisions, so rejoicing over your own virtue and rejoicing over the virtue of others.
다 하는 게 와라 하는 게 들어 지나 저거야. 세상 말에 수수 같이 와도 제법 생각 법에 거는 지나죠. 선들하게 와서 말하니 이게서 다 통하는 지나 저거 했어.
So then rejoicing over your own virtue is again has two subheadings, and it says rejoicing over the virtue done in the past lives that you can discern by means of inferential valid cognition, and rejoicing over your own virtue from this life that you can discern by means of direct valid cognition.
다 제대 때서부터 봐야 주지 대체 저거라서 우리 봐. 다 경험하마. 내가 들어야 보면은 나중에 지어 준비를 도와라. 들어야 보면은 아무도 도구에 말해서 다 들어서 한번 쏘아.
So then,
신바에 보통에 와나 다음부터 난 저거도 말해서 와. 신바도 저거 말아서 다 레벨에서 다 그래서.
and then the first one, rejoicing over the virtue of past life, and virtue of past life which you can discern by means of inferential valid cognition. Since you have received a good physical rebirth in this life, look at the favorable conditions you have inherited for Dharma practice and think over and over again. In my rebirth, before this one, I must have upheld my ethics, practiced generosity, patience, etc., and done this extremely well. And because you are mistaken in the previous lives about how to do something meaningful for yourself, your present life is this magnificent.
들어야 보면은 밀도가 말이야. 저와 신바에 보면은 다 조합 분으로 해서 봐. 신바에 보면은 조합 분으로 해서 저바에 보면은 하나가 동네 같이 해서 봐.
And so, so the fact that you are born as a human being in this life with a good physical condition, the body is understood inferentially. It's inferentially that you have practiced morality and so forth in the past, and then the reason, the fact that you're quite well off, you have all this the food, clothing, and so forth needed. And is the result of the generosity. So in French, you can understand that you have practiced the generosity in the past and so forth. So, and then having good form, good appearance, and so forth is practice. Is the result of practicing patience and so forth. And so we all want to be well off, right? We want to have good, amount of food, clothes, and a proper place to live and so forth. So if we want to have all these things, then the wealth, then we should practice generosity. And if we want to have a good form, good appearance, good look, then we should practice patience. So if we have practiced generosity in the past, we will have good wealth in this life. If we have practiced patience in the past, then we will have good looks in this life. And so we will not accept this, we will not find it believable if we have not studied and convinced ourselves of karmic law of cause and effect and past and future lives. So something that happens with two children born from the same parents and then brought up in the same way. In every aspect, they were brought up in the same way. But one person becomes very successful, the other doesn't become. So why is that? And that's the question. Same, again, with from the same parents, some children are born very attractive, whereas others are born very unattractive. So it's not that parents make a mistake in planting the seed, right? Giving birth to the child and so forth. But it depends on the kind of action that they each have created in the past of their lives. So, like in India and Tibet, the parents, as when the children grow up and then they get married, they settle their life, then they give a share of the property. Make sure that they each have the house and everything to start their life. And so then from the parent side, they give the same amount to all the children, but one becomes very successful, then they build up on what they have received from their parents. The others, they lose everything, including what they receive from their parents and so forth. So this is all because of their own karmas that they are creating themselves.
First of all, I have my brother, my younger brother. My younger brother is a very good business guy. I'm a very bad business guy. He's very, successful. He's into business. I'm terrible. This is different karma. Therefore, this is if you think very briefly understand the cause effect, then it makes sense. There's something. Otherwise, 소소지 대피 굉장히 많아. 소소 남고 채는 소소 깔리는 지. 제발이 소소 깔리는 맞이해서 모두 되는 거지. 딱 맞아 얘기는 그냥 말했어.
So normally we say that such and such person becomes successful because he worked hard, and then other person didn't become successful because he didn't work hard. We usually say like that. We don't say, oh, it's because of the karma that person has created in the past.
lamro yegi college and kun jongo yore. Lamro yegi college and kun jongo yore. Cheching ma. Che ma jo da ko di leme ore.
And so the person who has a karma, when he works hard, he becomes successful. The person who doesn't have a karma, even if he works hard, he doesn't become successful. So that's because of having or not having karma.
So 빼고 뭐라 다什么 간지最많이 나요. 이거 이야마 같다 티티로 가는 거 같이 해야 돼.
And so whatever kind of karma that you have created in the past, that's going to lead you the life that you want to have. So if you have created good karma, you have a good life. If you have created bad karma, then you have a bad life.
얘나 대삼에 되면 야 대. 저대나 수리형 거래자고 그러세요. 나 아까만 그랬는데 내가 상시 그거 마시려고 그랬어.
So of course you have the cause, but you have to provide the condition also. So by working hard. So if you say, oh yeah, I have a karma and you don't work hard, of course you don't.
Okay, he said, okay, you have good karma, I can find. If not, whatever, then just stay there. It's very dangerous to hopeless. You have to effort. If you do effort same way, same thing, but some parts very good, but not. They shows there's something missing cause condition. All this, okay? It is that 신나다 생각만 된 물리고 만나봐. 다 다음으로 다 다시 밀지 뭐 야고 톱대 그래서 망가리야. 대단 아주 기왕 넘어도 야고 싫어 제일.
So right now we are born as human beings with all these favorable conditions. So we have a good life, a good rebirth. So that is the result of the good karma we have created in the past.
그래서 다 개와시마 가르려 다음부터 다 다다기노 관계식을 해서 이거거든요.
And then he says, and so now, oh monk, you know just what rebirth your next one will be like. Some sense. So it depends on what kind of karma you create now.
아니 네 끼어도 막 가지고 떨어지는 거야. 아니 생이 끼어 림보시 다다 밀려 제다. 다대 결혼을 거지. 정말 양도 맞서 맞서. 다 끼어 누마가 가지 끼어 누마가 밑에 그다 밀려 제야 버리 싸워res. 다 다대게 밀리대. 다 주마가 누가 많이 마셔서라고 그러나.
So anyway, so the precious rebirth that you have now, is the result of the good karma that you created in the past life where you had a precious rebirth. So as a result of that precious rebirth, you had a precious rebirth now. And then it says the precious. So now the precious, so the precious monk now, the person who becomes monk now, if he creates all these non-virtuous actions all the time, then he might fall into the lower room. So it says this, now the precious monk don't fall into the cliff of the lower rooms in the next life.
Okay. 딱 강가 타고 말어. 다 강가 타면은 소소소 상담 그랬다.
So now this is only like saying to those who are monks, right? But since here we're all not monks, and therefore we just we should refer to ourselves.
다 깨와 주마 가리게 되면 진짜 소소다 되고.
So what kind of life you're going to have in the future depends on what kind of action you engage in this life.
다 대한민국 계산라 다 제법생마다 법이 거기다 이제야 제법생으로.
So this one, so you can think of this virtuous action that you have created. Because of the result that you have now, you can see that yes, I have created. So you can rejoice over those virtuous actions. So those virtuous actions that you have created, and you can't discern or understand directly, so you have to understand it in friendship.
다 이바데 다 나가 년세지 나가 뭐 간도셔 봐. 좀 봐도 연거셔 봐. 무슨 고등셔 봐. 다 소소 들어 가지는다. 다 간다 소소. 아니 투점서 나와서 봐. 다 가고 그래서 봐. 롱선면에도. 롱선으로 제가 다 되고 좀 그래서 봐.
So anyway, so that you can read that verse, right? So your precious past life gave you this present precious in the body. So current precious monk don't throw your future over the precipice. And if we examine our present mode of behavior, we can see that where we will be born, reborn in the future lives. So we need to not ask people who declare volitional power to perform divinations and soul for ourselves. And then you think of the virtuous actions that you have created in this life. Think about the circumambulations, the prostrations, and the offerings that you have made in this life, and then rejoice over that. And so then this talks about calculating. When we calculate, we usually calculate the money, right? We quite often calculate our finances. This is how much money we have in the bank and so forth. And so no matter how much you calculate, however much you find, how much money you find that you have in your bank, that will only be able to give you a very temporal happiness. It will not be able to give you ultimate happiness. So it's not saying that you don't need money at all, but more money you have, more enemies you make. So more jewelries you have, more worries you have also, thinking that they might get stolen.
You don't want to hide it. Sometimes always a joke. The monks, some monks have very good statues, maybe old statues. Some a lot. They go to Tibetan class. They do the Tibetan and they check the work of the key. Usually the mouse key here. They show my key there. It's good to Tibet, very far away, but it's to check. Oh, I don't want to lose my key. If by this key, my romance I learned from there. Therefore,
So if we are counting or calculating, then we should count the virtuous and non-virtuous actions that we have created. So because if we have created more virtuous actions, then we can be born as a human god and so forth in the future lives. And if we have created more negative actions, then we may be born in the hell realm, or hungry ghosts, animal, and so forth. So there was this a great practitioner called Geshe Ngawang Tenley, who was a thief and robber. He killed and he robbed and so forth in the early part of his life. But later, meeting with the Kadamba master, then he became a great practitioner. So then what he used to do is that he will count all the actions that he has created over the day, during that daytime, whatever kind of action there is. So then he will count it with white and black pebbles. So if he has done good, then he will move one white pebble. And if he has done bad, then he will move one black pebble. And then he will count which one he has done more. And so then if he finds in himself, if he finds more number of bad actions that he has done, or more number of black pebbles, then he will hold his right hand with the left hand, and and then like talk to himself. So you, Begungan, you have created so much negative action since beginner's time, and you still keep on creating all these negative actions. And so if you do this, you'll be you're still experiencing more suffering. So like you advise himself in that way.
아니 가보면은 아니 굴라바 이거 야바 야자니 다디 디 말고 다본 백거자 되다 그래고 그래도 맞추면 나도 주도 그냥 기시 좀 잡아서나 아니 좀 잡아 하지나 야보 제대로 다 야보를 타면 야보 지고라지 않고 그런 지게 양치 지내야지 야보 지고.
So Begungan was his name, before he became monk. And then, but later, after he became monk, his monk name was Thubten Damchoe. And so then, if he has done good, and then he will lift his right hand with his left hand and says, "Oh, Thubten Damchoe, you did a very good today. Keep on doing it."
Therefore, very practice we can do it every day. We have to count this non-virtuous action and virtuous actions. What it is that Jewa Shima. What Suzu and Mazutana, that's much in Chicha, Tija, Tija, and Demigo, Suzu, that's one.
And so, if we count it right now, then at the end of our life, the Lord of Death, the Yama, will not need to count for you.
I don't know where Yama. Anyway, that anybody change your ask for. That's what you did, that's what you are, no matter your cheddar, what touching you are.
And so now the next one is rejoicing over others' virtues.
And this was a dog, you are children, Yedichava, Pamechava, Kazama give us more chairs.
And so this means rejoicing over the virtue of your enemies, friends, and strangers, or over the virtue of person in the 5 types of good ones.
Today, Susu, Kiva, compared to Jithan, they charge you for.
And so, in order to increase your own virtue or merit, there's no better way than rejoicing.
Jikontavi, Nyaja, Manyani, Geshe Ngawang Tenley, Jithan, they charge you with the Marisma. Nyaja, Gisera, Rankomshis.
So it says, as the Kurukulla Rinpoche says, how to perform great virtue while relaxing or while lying down. It says to rejoice, meditate on that. So also in other texts it says that when you see someone creating virtue, instead of being jealous over their actions, you should rejoice and you accumulate an equal merit as them.
What it is that? I got it. And
so it is important to rejoice over the virtuous actions of oneself and others, and important not to be jealous over others' good actions. So it says that suppose everyone within a particular family is completely dependent on the father for their standard of living, nothing else would make the father happier than if the older son could manage to support himself. And so this is the slight difference between the practice of and so anyway, so it says like when the son becomes independent and supports himself or helps to support the other member of the family, the father will be very happy, right? So that is the kind of happiness you should have when you see other people doing good.
All parents. And here they don't father. Here the all parents. Usually Tibetan their culture, father had to take care, all things. Mother to cook, she walk inside her house. She doesn't want to go outside walk. Father have to, whatever they want to do food outside, their father's job. They want to be there. But anyway, not too much, not need too much effort, very easy, then joy is very good to more merit. Therefore, try to, how much did we get? Try to, how much,
So important not to be jealous.
Okay?
Geshe, I have a quick question.
Okay.
Just on page 193 in the Blue Book, Damchoe, he says rejoicing over the virtue of persons in the 5 types of rebirths.
Oh, yeah.
What?
5 times this is
Referring to 5 types of
yeah, 5 times no so 상제지, 상수 생과지, 소소시오지. 아니, 로드는 나타 니들 파바다 니들 로가 있어. 상제지, 상수 생과지, 소소시오 섬시. 아니, 로가 니들 이게 그 물론 니들 있어. 나중에
그래서 여러분 얘기를
니들 다치마다 니들 마치 로드 애니지. 아니, 상수 생과지. 그 상제지, 소소시오.
So yeah, it's in the different texts. It says that the 5 different type of rebirth, the 5 different type of being. It should be being, I think, instead of rebirth.
Oh,
So
okay.
maybe
So
that
it's
might have
not
confused.
referring to 6
No.
types
So
of
it's not the kind of rebirth, but I think type of beings. Not a type of rebirth, type of beings.
like
So
form
like
or
a-
formless beings?
No, no,
Is
no,
that?
no.
Yeah, in a way, it's similar like that. So there are different type of beings. Like Buddha is a being,
Okay.
and Bodhisattva is a being.
Okay.
And so here it's like the ordinary being, Buddha, Bodhisattva, ordinary being, and then the learners on the path,
Oh, okay.
and then the like the arhats on the normal learning path.
Okay.
So these are the 5 type of beings.
Okay.
So that you can rejoice over the virtue of the Buddha, the Bodhisattva, the ordinary beings, the arhats of the heroes and social realizers, and then the learners on the path, like the heroes and social realizers on the path of accumulation, path of preparation. All these beings who are still learning. So these beings in the virtue, you can rejoice over them also.
대단하고 자시고 되고 라자는 다 떠다니 그와 소소시오는
So in the King of Prayer, if you remember, there is a rejoicing verse, where you rejoice, over the 5 type of beings. It's mentioned.
Okay.
소소시오는 다 상제 라자는 다 떠다니 그와 있으니까 내 벗겨내 돼
Okay.
물리니 연어들 못해요.
So yeah, so in the King of Prayer, there is the 7 limbs, right? 7 limbs in each verse,
Right.
and so there's the one for the rejoicing. In there, it mentioned about those.
그다 다 뒤로 싸버려 다 지나치고 그래서
So you have to rejoice over the virtue, in the virtues of those beings.
okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You have any questions? Okay, then we stop here. Please try to how much they can. Okay.